this building. And am I glad to see you all. As my mother would say, you are all a sight for sore eyes. It is a real privilege. It is a pleasure. I am moved. We have representatives from people with suits and ties and people without suits and ties. And so all of you make this university work, make it work and make it grand. And I am so pleased that you're all here. I am very moved that you're all here because of what this building represents for our campus. And for 50 years, this building has stood on the north end of the quad. It's been a place where the AU community gathers to rejoice and mourn, to celebrate and weep, to commemorate, honor, and organize. Place for lectures that stir the mind and concerts that make the spirit soar. The world is a different place than it was 50 years ago, and there have been many changes, both redemptive and regrettable. It is important to remember that these years have brought light and darkness. Much suffering has been visited on the planet. As we celebrate, we are also called to remember the broken places that have interrupted the solace of this sacred space. Conflict and wars in Vietnam, Central America, the Balkans, the Middle East, Congo, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the heartbreaking list goes on. Last week it was France. Let's pause to remember the courage of our Parisian brothers and sisters, as well as the country of Lebanon that was struck shortly before France, and also the tragedy that befell the Russian airliner. So let's just be quiet a minute, because it's a space to be quiet in and be in connection with the person who you're sitting with. Amen, and thank you. I'm also remembered that this coincides with the March on Selma, 50 years ago. The Voting Rights Act reflected the light of our better angels. This building becomes the center of community life when people are stopped in their tracks, confronted by something that challenges the limits of our human understanding, shocking us with the reality of our vulnerability and fragility. The untimely death of a student, faculty, or staff. The Boston Marathon bombing, the Haitian earthquake, the crucifixion of Matthew Shepard, Ferguson, 9/11. I'll always remember at noon on 9/11, students came in droves from the residence hall, faculty and staff streaming into the quad from their offices. And where do we come? Where did we come? To the steps of the K Spiritual Life Center, where we all found comfort in being together. On Friday, this past Friday, there was an interfaith Juma Muslim prayer. And it was to the tribute to our students. Many non-Muslim students stood in solidarity with our Muslim students. That's something about the character of this university. This building is an enduring tribute to the vision of a devout Methodist layman, President Hearst Anderson, and a Russian immigrant who became a prominent Jewish businessman. They shared an inspired idea. They were trailblazers, ahead of their time, even prescient, to imagine a profoundly interfaith space long before it became part of our common lexicon. This building stands as a stirring reminder of their friendship and foresight. According to the language printed on the groundbreaking ceremony program, this is a great quote. It is to stand at the head of the campus quadrangle in a place of unique prominence, symbolizing the importance of worship and service to God and the aims of the university, and bearing witness to a belief in religious freedom, which is in accordance with one of the best features of American life. The Case Spiritual Life Center will provide a place for the sharing of different faiths, and I might add, no faith, and will allow more fully for encounter, for questioning, for seeking. And the 16-foot impressionist flame, the reason this building is known around campus affectionately as the Flaming Cupcake. Crafted in bronze, weighing 700 pounds, is described as speaking of the light cast by knowledge upon the ways of humankind and nature. It symbolizes the synergy between faith and learning that point toward all truth. The chapel anchors the north end of campus, and across the quad stands the library. I like to say that these two buildings are the spiritual and intellectual wings that hold this place aloft. And what holds the chapel aloft are our chaplains. Daily, their presence gives witness to both faith and practice. They are the essence of this place, giving graciously of their time to volunteer, to inspire and guide students as each pursues his or her own spiritual journey. They nurture students, leading them to find ways to give expression to the deeper yearnings of their spirit. In this very diverse community, our unity is found in our particularity, not in any kind of universal, homogeneous blend. I would like for our chaplains to stand, and I want them to turn around, and I want you to express your appreciation to all our chaplains. Amen, brother and sister. That's wonderful. Now, also located in the walls of this building are the Student-Led Interfaith Council, who you're going to hear from in a minute, and the Center for the Community and Engagement Service Coalition, which has been present in this building from day one. And the people who help keep the wind under our chaplains' wings are my colleagues, especially at the indispensable woman, Jen Barron Knowles. Where is she? Christine Gettings, please stand up, 11 years. Who devoted 35 years of her life ennobling our pastoral care. Now sit with that a minute, sit with that a minute. 35 years, that's even longer than our Catholic chaplain, Karen Thornton, Assistant Catholic Chaplain. Karen Thornton has been here. Karen, stand up. Rejoices. My heart rejoices. And also I'd like to thank my Campus Life colleagues. Really thank my Campus Life colleagues whose steadfast support animates my own spirit, especially Fanta Ab and Gail Hansen. Fanta is our godmother. Fanta and Gail is our steadfast advocate. And the Golden Eagles, I think there's some Golden Eagles here who graduated 50 years ago. Maybe, maybe not. They didn't make it. Well, all right. It's now my privilege to introduce someone who arrived at AU just after this building completed its second anniversary, second birthday. He met his life's companion here, who happens to be our First Lady. That makes him AU's first man. President Neil Kerwin, who's going to come up in just 2 seconds. He will be followed by Jack Cassell, a toddler who is, as you know, the chair of our Board of Trustees, a toddler 50 years ago who saw this building rise as he held the hand of his father, Pop Cassell, an AU legend. He will be followed by a person whose father made the Kay Spiritual Life Center possible, and it made the Kay Spiritual Life Center happen. Sylvia Greenberg, the daughter of Abraham Kay. Let the celebration commence.
Thank you, Joe. Vision can be a great gift. For the visionary, it joins idea and action and can drive a life in the most positive and interesting ways. When that vision effectively joins solution to serious problem, the benefits can transform the world and individual lives in untold ways. This vision of Abraham Kay, the Kay Spiritual Life Center, was right and made real. It may not have changed the world at large, but it changed American University for generations of chaplains, believers, non-believers, and an entire community that so often needed and continues to need a point to gather for the reasons, both good and bad, that Joe just pointed out. Abraham Kay realized that his vision required a partner, and as Joe mentioned, he found it in Hearst Anderson, a president absolutely determined to build a distinctive university with regard to its connection to the world and our particular purpose in it. Kay Spiritual Life Center was and is a physical statement about the diversity that has always been American University's hallmark, and about the inclusion we seek, but we still so struggle to achieve. This building, its history, the interactions that it's seen, the continued conversations and dialogue make it an island of hope. Hope for knowledge, hope for understanding, hope for tolerance, and hope for common endeavor. The original vision, a Christian and Jewish facility, has grown more expansive and thus diversified. Abraham Kay would no doubt be surprised by the number of chaplains who are here ministering to the faithful or to the seekers of so many religions. But I think he and Hearst Anderson would be delighted that the Kay Spiritual Life Center has developed in this way. Joe is right. Ann and I arrived here in the fall of 1967. And if you told either one of us at that point that this place was only 2 years old, we would have been very, very surprised. It was already a fixture for both the religious community and, yes, the political events of the day. And there were many of the last because of the times that we were in. That political activity has now evolved into a core mission to study, to debate, and to act on issues of social justice. When Ann and I sat on those steps, she a Jew, me a person of lapsed faith, we talked about everything, where our lives were going, whether they would be together, and the great issues of our time. Much is the same today. The social justice work continues to question and push this university on its appropriate role and obligations on a wide variety of issues, sometimes pressing the president to do more, or do differently. However difficult that might be for a given president, it is as it should be. Moral authority must always question power and demand answers and accountability. So along with the spiritual mission of the Case Spiritual Life Center, it has also ensured a strong voice for all those who might otherwise be unheard. I want to close with an expression of gratitude to Abraham Kay, who's not with us today, for his vision and his generosity. A recognition that Hearst Anderson understood the wisdom of what Abraham Kay was about to launch. I want to thank Sylvia Greenberg and the entire Greenberg and Kay families for their wonderful support of this institution over the years. This afternoon, I especially want to thank the Reverend Joe Eldridge for his wise, his persistent, and as we have just seen, his joyful stewardship of this wonderful place. For those of you who don't know Joe, he is a long-time, respected, and brave leader in the movement for human rights. And in this, he has as his partner, who is here today, Maria Otero, joining us. And attempting to do what none of us have been able to accomplish, and that is to keep Joe somewhat in line. Joe's voice for the causes he believes in have never wavered. His leadership of the Case Spiritual Life Center has ensured that this treasure and the resources it assembles will be put to maximum effect. The importance and success of Joe's leadership was recently evident in the highly positive comments from the team from the Methodist Church that evaluated the university for suitability for continued affiliation. They too understand the importance of this multi-faith commitment and the place where it is housed. So happy birthday to this child of Abraham Kay. His progeny has now reached a vigorous middle age with only the best to come. The Case Spiritual Life Center is a university flagship, a beacon, and certainly one of our best ideas.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a wonderful day, celebrating 50 years, tremendous, in a building that's meant so much to American University. I was here on the day of the groundbreaking as a child, and that I was with my twin brother Stafford Jr. and my father Stafford Sr. We enjoyed the festivities, you can see, and just in case you were wondering, because I know you're all wondering right now, they're twins, which one is he? Which one has the sexy legs? That's on the left, me, that's me. So, you know, this was a day that was the beginning of many wonderful events here in this building on this ground. In fact, there have been great moments, and there have been moments that were kind of sad. I had one of those days a few months after the opening in 1965. My family was here to celebrate the life of my father, and it was a very emotional day for AU and for myself. My father had a great relationship with Mr. Kay, and as a boy I remember their generosity. I remember visiting their home from time to time, and I remember that they were so generous that they gave us a membership to their club, and even after my father died, they continued to extend that fine privilege to us. The vision and generosity showed in 1963 by Abraham Kay was incredible, but it has continued with his son Jack Kay and Sylvia Greenberg Kay. They've also continued that legacy that their father started with the generosity to AU. If you think about it, if we had 100 people walk through that door every single day for 50 years, which indeed we probably have, there would be about 2 million people that have visited this facility during that time, which is a tremendous thing. The K Spiritual Life Center epitomizes community, and at a time when there's so much division in our society and in the world, to have a place that is about bringing people together and where people share different faiths and can work together to strive and learn and exchange ideas is unique and something that is uniquely AU. So today, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and on behalf of thousands of people who have sat in the pews that you're sitting in today, I want to thank Joe Eldridge for leading the K Spiritual Life Center, the Campus Life team guided by Gail Hansen and Fanta Ha, in carrying out Abraham K's vision. And I want to thank the K family. Thank you for your vision and generosity, because AU is a much better place for that generosity. Thank you for the friendship that you've extended to all of us and the AU family. Today, we look at that beautiful eternal flame on top of this building, and it reminds us of the faiths that share this wonderful place, but it can also serve to remind us of the lovely spirit of the K family. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to see all of you here. I just can't believe that it's been 50 years. Oh, I was very young then. Wow. I want to thank Jack and Neil for all your kind words. 50 years, it's hard to believe. My father was so proud of all the work that he did here at American University. He would truly be delighted to see all of you here today celebrating this 50 years. As you've heard today, the K Spiritual Life Center was one of the first interfaith community centers in the country. And oh, he was so proud of this. I know that he and President Anderson, they got their heads together, and we're so proud of this. My father recognized the need for this kind of home on American University's campus. My brother and I have been so proud to carry on the support of this center throughout the years. I know that it's been very well used, and we're really so proud of my dad. I'm so pleased to be here this afternoon to celebrate with you, and I look forward to hearing from our guest speaker later on in the program. Thank you very much for being here with us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Kerwin. Thank you, Trustee Cassell, and thank you, Mrs. Greenberg. It is truly an honor for all of us to be here to celebrate 50 years of K. It is my honor to introduce our guest speaker for today. As we're planning the event for today, we thought to ourselves, what is it that perhaps this generation of students may be wanting to know about the world that they lived in? And as usual, you can always count on Joe to open up his Rolodex and to identify folks that are within his world. And he immediately said to me, I have the exact person for this event. And he was right. Our speaker for today is Reverend Paul Brandis Rushenbush. Reverend Rauschenbusch is the executive editor of Global Spirituality and Religion for the Huffington Post. From 2003 to 2011, he was the Associate Dean of Religious Life and the Chapel at Princeton University. He was the co-director of the program on religion, diplomacy, and international relations at the Liechtenstein Institute on Self-Determination at Princeton. Paul was also the president of the Association of College and Universities Religious Affairs from 2009 to 2011. An ordained American Baptist minister, he speaks and preaches at colleges, churches, and institutes around the country, including the Center for American Progress, the New America Foundation, and the Aspen Institute. Reverend Rauschenbusch is regularly invited to offer commentary on issues of religion and society on national television and radio. His current focus is on the interplay between religion and the internet. His first book, Teen Spirit, One World, Many Faiths, was released in the fall of 2004. Please welcome Reverend Rauschenbusch.
President Kerwin, Chairman Castle, Assistant Vice President Aum, K-Center staff, students of American University, chaplains, it is an enormous honor to be part of this celebration of 50th anniversary of K Spiritual Life Center. I especially want to thank the K family for its vision. Not many people had it at that time. And it makes a difference. I think the president said, maybe not beyond these walls, but I would beg to differ. These kind of things have implications around the world. Lastly, I will say a special thank you to Chaplain Joe Eldridge, for whom people clap for his wife, but not for him. So maybe we can give him a round of applause. There we go. Stand up, people. Chaplain Joe was one of the first colleagues I met when I first got to Princeton, and he immediately impressed me as a man of integrity, spiritual wisdom, prophetic fire, and an enduring commitment to the students, faculty, and staff of all backgrounds at American University. Today, I am honored to address the role of spirituality in our interfaith world. One of the most important elements of an examined spiritual life is to be honest with yourself and with others around you about how you are really feeling. How is it with your soul? And I would have to answer that all is not well. I stand before you with a bruised heart, confused mind, and a struggling spirit. On the night of the Paris attacks, I wrote to my friends and followers on Facebook about how I was feeling, saying, I want my prayers and my life to matter so that terror will stop, so that all will value life, so that we don't contract and distrust one another. I want to embody the possibility of love in the world. And then I ended with this question, how can I do that when my anger and disbelief keeps rising? How can I love my God, my neighbor, and my enemy if my heart feels broken? My guess is that sometimes those of you who work in, support, and frequent the K Spiritual Life Center feel that you are merely one of the many different offerings at an important institution like American University. However, in moments of national and international crisis, like a Paris, or Charleston, or Oak Creek, or when a tragedy such as a death of a student happens at the university. When students and staff and faculty are feeling vulnerable, angry, and grieving, they gather together seeking some kind of collective consolation. And that's when we are reminded about how deep the need is for a common spiritual life at the university. One of the current challenges facing a center like this is how religiously diverse our student bodies are. The recent Pew studies have shown the extraordinary range within the religious landscape in America. On the one hand, the study revealed that more young people will be arriving to this campus with no religious affiliation. At the same time, it indicated that those who do have a religious affiliation are actually becoming more religious in their practice. As these potential fault lines deepen, how can the K Center provide the center that holds? It is crucial that we acknowledge that everyone comes to this campus with some religious background, whether that is an explicit embrace, a casual acquaintance, a passive absence, or an active rejection. We want all of these people to be involved in the many offerings at the K Center, including the deep engagement and dialogue with people who hold different worldviews and come from different cultures. We want everyone to feel welcome. Promoting principles of spirituality that are available to all is one way to extend that invitation as broadly as possible. Now, spirituality can be cast as weak tea, and to be frank, can sometimes come across as a privatized mishmash of occasional practices, stripped of their more robust religious origins. As you can imagine, that is not what I'm going to be talking about today. Instead, I want to outline 5 different vital signs of spiritual life that should be cultivated on university campuses. These are all equally applicable to those people who identify as religious and those who do not. And if these spiritual principles are embraced within the campus, it would increase the well-being of our students, staff, and faculty, offer a different way into the important efforts at interfaith understanding, and act as an antidote to the over-professionalization and instrumentalization of the liberal arts education. Although these are not listed in any particular order, I want to start with my favorite, curiosity. Recognizing that there is constantly more to know is the safest guard against an overly dogmatic and rigid approach to life and to religion. With curiosity, each interaction with another human being, sacred text, or the natural world is an opportunity to know more, to grow, to have our hearts, minds, and spirits expanded. It reminds us that there are teachers everywhere, a rock, a history long ago, a child who needs tutoring, a classmate from a different religious tradition. Everything and everyone has something to teach us if we have our eyes open to curiosity with which to see. To talk about curiosity in the academy inspires an openness to discovery of what we didn't even know we were looking for. Curiosity is about learning not to get the A, but for the sake of knowledge and truth and wisdom. Curiosity is a life skill, which once embraced will not diminish upon graduation, but will ensure that American University alumni have more interesting lives because they are safeguarded against the most obtuse of human curses, boredom and ennui. Wonder is the cousin of curiosity and is another form of spiritual life that I would like to hear more about at the university. When I was at Princeton, we had a speaking series called What Matters to Me and Why? And one of the people who was invited to speak was a well-known scientist who explained that he was raised Catholic but now had no religious beliefs. Yet emotion filled his voice as he spoke about the wonder of what he saw as a scientist and shook his head at the beauty, complexity, and mystery of the universe. Wonder is available to everyone and is experienced as vividly within the arts, the environment, and the sciences as within theology and philosophy. While not a replacement for the intellect, wonder can be described as that moment when the intellect willingly releases a tight-fisted dedication to explaining and reducing and simply marvels at the world around us. I am the proud father of a 9-month-old child whose eyes widen every time his papa shakes a glass filled with water and ice cubes in front of him. To his eyes, it is truly the most beautiful vision. Unfortunately, he will eventually learn that things are not as wonderful as they seem, and that the shifting, shining shapes of hard, clear ice within the translucent liquid that sparkles and splashes is really just meant to be consumed. The spiritual task of wonder, often undertaken by poets and mystics, is to unlearn that and to view the world with uncorrected vision that reveals the miraculous in the mundane. If you randomly poll a group of largely non-religious people about how they experience spirituality, as I did at the Huffington Post newsroom, the most common response is a feeling of interconnectedness. While interconnectedness is often spoken about in molecular or mystical terms, as in all of us being a drop in the same ocean, its most relevant implication is ethical. I am part of you. You are part of me. Or as the poet Gwendolyn Brooks so eloquently put it, we are each other's harvest, we are each other's business, we are each other's magnitude and bond. A spiritual understanding of all of us as interconnected requires that I act in a way that is aware of how my actions are affecting each of you. Interconnectedness is the foundation of compassion. Interconnectedness is also at the heart of interfaith dialogue. 50 years ago as well, Abraham Joshua Heschel of Jewish Theological Seminary offered his seminal speech, "No Religion is an Island." He gave it at Union Theological Seminary across the street from Jewish Theological Seminary. And he said, "Horizons are wider, dangers are greater, no religion is an island. We are all involved with one another. Spiritual betrayal on the part of one of us affects the faith of all of us. Views adopted in one community have an impact on another community. Today, religious isolationism is a myth. Our world has grown even smaller in the last 50 years, where all news is instantaneous, and what happens to faith in one part of the world is immediately transmitted around the world. Rabbi Heschel's understanding of our interconnectedness is even more crucial today. Yet the spiritual awareness of interconnectedness has implications beyond religion and applies to all of our frequent tendencies to label those outside of our group, whether that's our religion, race, sexual orientation, orientation, culture, or nation as the other. Interconnectedness does not dissolve difference, but it does insist that difference need not divide. In the face of rising distrust within our own country, as well as between religions and people around the world, we cannot underestimate how important a deep sense of interconnectedness and ethical interdependence is. Last year, I wrote an article for the Huffington Post called ISIS and the Crisis of Meaning that came out of a discussion with experts at the Council on Foreign Relations. They offered a profile of the young men and women who were too often successful targets of recruitment by ISIS. The common denominator was that ISIS gave these often marginalized and disillusioned people a sense of community, as well as purpose and meaning in their lives. Intentional reflection on meaning and purpose and the value of each individual is a crucial spiritual exercise. One of my favorite programs at Princeton was clumsily titled, "What kind of life do you want to lead?" Across campus, students from very different groups and backgrounds gathered together for the sole purpose of talking about how they envisioned living a meaningful life. And again, I think this goes to the core of what a liberal arts education was meant to do, and yet these conversations are too infrequent on our campuses. I found that one of the most startling questions you can ask a student is how their activities and their classes fit into their sense of vocation or sense of meaning and purpose for their life. And if we don't do it, there are people very willing to do it for us. Dylan Ruth was radicalized by an online white supremacy website. Radical religious recruiters from all backgrounds are eager to tell young people what will give them meaning and community. Developing programs about what gives life meaning will equip students to continue these reflections once they leave campus, and to consider the meaning and purpose of their lives as they make decisions about family, about careers, and how they will live their lives, and in service of what and whom. And finally, recently I watched a documentary called "What Happened, Miss Simone?" that told the inspiring and difficult story of one of America's most gifted artists. The film highlights Nina Simone's deep commitment and involvement in the civil rights movement. However, the film showed in painful detail how her activism in taking on the horrifically racist society also took a devastating toll. There's a scene when she is with Martin Luther King Jr. after the bombings that killed 4 little girls, and she is so angry while singing that her voice breaks, and her daughter explains that it never really fully recovers. Nina Simone's prophetic struggle impacted her own spirit and her relationships with her family and the world around her. Malcolm X's eldest daughter was interviewed in the film, and she commented, "Participation activism in the 60s rendered chaos in any individual's life. People sacrificed sanity, well-being, life." I lift up Miss Simone because as I watched the documentary of one of my favorite artists, I wished Nina Simone had been better equipped to care for her spirit and her heart in the face of the violent and death-giving racism she was experiencing. Instead, the struggle broke a part of her, and as her daughter calmly explained to the camera, the mother who had been so loving became violent towards her own daughter and herself. When I think of Nina Simone, I think of all the students who are involved in the hard work of activism, such as Black Lives Matter and many, many others, and I wonder, how are they caring for themselves? not just for those who are activists, but also those who have experienced sexual assault, or those experiencing depression, or those who are struggling academically. American University is a beautiful place. And like many other top-tier schools, it projects a made-for-camera prettiness and perfection. But the truth, as everyone in this room knows, is that many in this community of students, staff, and faculty are suffering, sometimes deeply, in one way or another. Resilience is the last, but certainly not the least of the spiritual assets that I would like to see every student possess. Tapping into practices such as meditation, prayer, yoga, nonviolence training, along with mindfulness. These are happening at campuses across the country. Perhaps even just making sure that we all ask each other, how are you doing? Are you okay? Can I help? Being a campus that cares. What is honored in a country will be cultivated, Plato said, and this is true for spirituality within the university setting. Spirituality, as I have described this morning, doesn't just happen. It is a discipline that requires someone to care about it and teach it and promote it. Spirituality, as I've talked about, goes hand in hand with the mission of the university to educate, as well as form productive, healthy, aware citizens for living in our pluralistic world. These 5 spiritual ideals of curiosity, wonder, interconnectedness, meaning, and resilience offer a way for personal growth, academic success, and the fostering of a compassionate and just university and a more just world outside of it. The Case Center for Spiritual Life has filled this important need for the last 50 years, and the need for the next 50 is even greater. I am so honored that I had a chance to be with you this morning, and thankful for the spiritual fortitude in this community that has offered me healing, and I am grateful for the honor of being part of this celebration.
Thank you so much for that inspiring talk. And now we're going to have a few words from the reason we're all here, the students. So can I invite the students who've agreed to be in this panel to come up on stage? My name is Charlotte Jones Carroll. I'm the Unitarian Universalist lay chaplain here. I believe Joe asked me to moderate this because I happen to have been here for the inauguration of the building. I'm an AU graduate, School of International Service, class of '67. And I just wanted to mention that when I came here in the fall of 1963, there was no K building here. The chaplains were in some offices in one place. There was a tiny chapel in the what's now former School of International Service building. 2 months after I arrived, November 22nd, 1963, and I came to study international service, by the way, because of being inspired by John F. Kennedy. On that day, after coming back from class and hearing the radio blaring, I found out that he had been assassinated. And was there ever a need for a building like this at that time? It didn't exist, and I can appreciate it, particularly in that context. So I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to thank you very much for a very inspiring talk. I think what we're going to do is ask each of the students, as you've nicely lined up, to introduce yourself, mention your faith, and give whatever response you might have. If any of them have questions, may I ask if you're willing to respond to the response? Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Aman Abdul Hamid. I am the president of the Muslim Student Association on campus, and I am a Muslim and a proud one at that.
Why don't you go ahead and share your response, and then we'll go. Did you have any comments on the talk?
Sorry, can everyone hear me now better? Okay, so I thought that discussion was very appropriate for what we were talking about. I think the increase of conversation in our classrooms about, religion and about integration, I think is very important. I think this day is great to commemorate all that integration within our campus, and I think it's important to have these discussions to let people know of different cultures and religions and how they see them and how people view them and how we can better integrate ourselves with them. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Isabella Benka, and I'm Muslim, Friends of Aman. And I was very warmly welcomed into the K community last year when I began attending AU. And because of the relationships I have formed in this community, I was lucky enough and blessed enough to have attended the Coming Together 7 conference at Yale University last semester. And when I was at that conference, I forged many relationships with people of faiths that aren't so well represented at AU and I don't have much knowledge of. And those relationships continue until today. And I'm also very grateful for the relationships of people from other faiths that I have formed in the K community. So I'm glad to be here commemorating K.
Hi, my name is Shai Habshai. I'm a junior here, and I'm Jewish. And K has been a very big part of my life here since, really the first week of my freshman year. I came here for Shabbat services, and that immediately made me feel more at home. And then soon after that, I joined the Interfaith Council, which I've been a part of since. And it's like a really amazing community. We talked about curiosity on this stage, and that's like a really good word for what goes on here. It's very genuine, and as a student of international relations, I think that what I learn here and the skills I gain here really do complement what I learned in the classroom in the SIS building. And when I go abroad next semester to Jordan, I know I'm going to be using the skills I got here and like the openness and the support you have when you come into this building to help me when I'm abroad.
Hello, my name is Maxwell Smith, and I'm a Quaker, one of about 3 on campus, I think. And I'm dressed the part as well. I guess the comments on what was said and about K-Life Spiritual Center is, I was reading, in fact, this morning, because I saw a lot of hate on Facebook and on Twitter about the recent events, and I saw a quote from a famous Quaker, Isaac Pennington, and it was, I can't remember it exactly, but it's about be careful not just with your message, but the way it's said and the way it's approached. And I think that in an accepting community, I think religion is something that's hard for a lot of young people today to grasp, and they just don't even try. But I think that the way that an interfaith community reacts and how it's a lot more, integrating, a lot more accepting, it really just encourages people to embrace all faiths, not just mine or anyone on this stages, but to embrace faith as a modern thing and as a positive thing as well.
Hi, my name is Sana Masroor. I'm a junior here at American University, and I'm a Baha'i. So I escaped religious persecution, and I was born in Iran, and I moved to the U.S. As a political refugee. And K Spiritual Life Center and the interfaith community that it represents is something that's absolutely amazing to me, just because it's something that absolutely does not exist in Iran. It's something that I don't think people can even fathom there at the moment. And so just the ability to be here and the ability to interact with people from all faiths and from all backgrounds, I think is something really incredible and something that I am really happy to contribute to.
Hi, I'm Willis Matei. I'm a secular humanist here on campus. I'm a junior, and I want to add to what Shai noted, that this is a real amazing center for learning and expanding one's mind. I actually study information technology and economics, so some people have asked me what I can possibly learn here that would be applicable in my field of study, but there's actually a great deal, and it's been an amazing experience for me to come here and learn about different traditions, different faiths, different ways of thinking. It's been an extremely valuable part of my education, and I'm extremely grateful to have had it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm Buddhist, and I wanted to go back to the point that she made about curiosity, because for me, that was one of the biggest things that drew me to K in the first place. I came in and I didn't know that there was a Buddhist community last year as a freshman, and this year I still haven't been too involved because of my schedule, but I participate in the Interfaith Council every Tuesday, and curiosity really binds us all. We have the most interesting conversations, and they start with faith. They start about maybe the environment or love or art in our religions and how they transfer internationally. But then they turn into more personal things, and I mean, my best friend is a Greek Orthodox, and then I have another friend that's an atheist, full out. And having that connection and that curiosity and being able to respect each other and to truly be able to open up and talk about faith and how it transfers over, I believe if everybody in the world will open up to that and all our presidents will open up to that, then the world will be a better place.
Hello, my name is Pooja Tilvawala, and I am Hindu. I also wanted to expand on the point made about curiosity. When I first came to AU last year, since I'm a sophomore, I joined Chi Alpha, even though I'm Hindu, just to learn about Christianity. And this year I plan to go to the talks on Islam every Friday. And the K Spiritual Life Center offers the platform to do so. And this community is very inviting, without judgment. If you want to join any religious group here, people are more than welcome to do so. And the interfaith dialogue allows us not only to learn about the similarities within the religions, because they're not the same, but we see the differences and learn to appreciate them and still live harmoniously together. And in the Hindu religion, there's the word ahimsa, which is for peace, and we definitely see that here on campus.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm the president of the Interfaith Council here on campus, and I am also a United Methodist. I was not very religious growing up, and I went to K out of curiosity, attended a Methodist service, and they kind of just drew me in. Of all the clubs I went to on campus, the one that was here was the one that I connected with. And it's just been an amazing ride since then, going from someone who knew nothing about religion to Rachel Turnus dragging me to Interfaith Council, going on a conference to CT7, going to the Baltimore-Washington Conference of United Methodists, and now I'm the president of Interfaith Council, and I just spent 12 hours cooking turkey for everyone in the faith communities, and it's been an amazing time here. So I just want to thank everyone who made this possible.
Hi, I'm Lauren Korzakowski, and I'm the vice president for the Catholic Student Association on campus. And like everyone else was saying, K is definitely a center that promotes not only acceptance of faith, but also knowledge and curiosity, as well as a sense of community. So from where I grew up, I was raised Catholic and mostly just knew about Christianity. But then when I came to AU, and specifically K, I learned more about other faith communities, and I became involved with different organizations and groups. And it even led me to want to take a class in ancient Jewish civilizations, which I'm really enjoying right now. And honestly, like as you were saying earlier in your talk, I believe it's really important to have the conversation of religion in the classroom. And even going back to ancient times, like with theocracies, like religion has been deeply rooted in government as well as society. And it's important to acknowledge that, as well as how religion is a fundamental part of the human experience as well. And it's just like has been a great blessing learning about the different faith communities here and expanding my knowledge of faith, as well as becoming more spiritual too.
Look at me. Thank you.
think you can see the students definitely have the final word here. And I really, obviously, curiosity and connection in your talk connected with all of them. So thank you, Reverend Rauschenbusch. I'm going to just say one last word, which is that spirituality and respiration have the same root, breath. So I really think we can leave and go to this wonderful reception in Battelle, is that right, Fanta? Remembering that spirit is as much a part of us as breath. Oh, Dr. Saeed, you want to be a student commentator?
Thank you. Once again, thanks to all of you for making time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today to celebrate the 50th anniversary. We thank the K family for its generosity and for creating not only a safe space, but a space for true learning for all of our students. And we invite each and every one of you to a reception that will be in the Battelle Atrium. And Joe Eldridge, once again, congratulations and thank you for your leadership. And finally, this place would not be what it is without our chaplains. So please, for our chaplains, please stand up and be recognized again. Thank you for all you do on behalf of our students.